So hello my friends, Devaun Lennox here, PhotographyPX. In today's video I want to answer whether the Fujifilm X-S10, which I have right here, is the ultimate hybrid stills and video camera at the sub $1,000 price point, also known as the mid-range in the camera market. And in short, to answer that question, the answer is yes. It's a strong contender at this particular price point and one that's ultimately the best in Fuji's current ecosystem, but it will depend on your use case and your specific needs. Even so, the X-S10 is a worthy option for you to consider if you're looking for an APS-C camera at this particular price point. In the description down below, you'll see timestamps so you'll know when I'm going to cover certain factors discussed in this video, and you can skip to a more relevant section if you'd like. But first and foremost, I want to explain and give you my mindset here on how PhotographyPX defines a hybrid camera. Historically, hybrid cameras began coming to market around 2014 and 2015 with the advent of mirrorless cameras. During that time, camera manufacturers began shifting and adding more video-centric features into their releases. Before that point, there were, quote, hybrid cameras, but even so, there was a noticeable divide between stills and video-centric cameras, namely camcorders. Since 2015, though, manufacturers have continued to put more video-centric features into each of their releases, and they've done so with the hopes of pleasing both photographers and videographers alike. So much so, today there are plenty of options on the market that simultaneously suit both roles. But with that brief history out of the way, our mindset on hybrid cameras is exactly that. A camera that suits both stills and video simultaneously. But when it comes to the most important factors for photography and videography, the factors do differ. I will cover a generic list right now and break each factor into photography and videography separately. On the photography front, ideally you want an electronic viewfinder with high resolution, somewhere around 2 to 3 million dots, and great magnification and a 60 hertz refresh rate, which is currently still the standard. Outside of that, fast continuous shooting speeds, somewhere in the ballpark of 6 to 8 frames per second, so that you can capture moderate sports and action if needed. Additionally, on this front, you'll also want a camera that has a reasonably deep buffer and a buffer that can hold a minimum of 20 images before slowing. Another ideal is a camera with dual card slots, giving you redundancy while shooting and peace of mind as well. The next factor will be excellent autofocusing capabilities, including ample selectable autofocusing points and subject tracking. Another factor that does help in the shooting experience is an AF joystick for quick autofocusing point selection, and the last thing you want is a camera with at least 24 megapixels, as this amount of resolution provides excellent detail for medium or large format printing. The camera's actual sensor size will depend on what you're shooting and if you need the extra depth of field that a larger sensor provides. Also, if you're shooting in low light, then a larger sensor would be best. In that case, APS-C or full frame. If you're not shooting in low light, a 1-inch sensor camera or higher is totally fine. But those are the main factors that come to mind from a photography standpoint. On the video front, the main factors to consider now in 2021 is 4K video, be it 24 or 30 frames per second. On this front as well, you want a camera that records 4K video at 100 megabits per second, which gives you ample room for post-processing without having foolishly large file sizes. Another ideal would be zebras, a highlight clipping warning indication that ensures that your recordings aren't overexposed. Granted, not all cameras offer this particular feature, but it's helpful when recording videos, particularly if you're doing vlogs outside. Another consideration is the camera's continuous autofocusing performance and how smoothly it transitions as a subject moves within the frame. On this front as well, face and eye detection to help ensure the eyes are critically in focus during your videos or your pictures. Outside of that, you'll also want a side hinged, fully articulating screen, as this particular design offers more flexibility for stills and for video recording. The last areas of considerations are outputs, in this case a microphone input and a headphone output. Most cameras offer microphone inputs. However, not all cameras offer headphone outputs. It's usually a rare option, but possible in some cameras at this particular price point. Even so, the microphone input is essential to record higher quality audio for your videos. The only way to do so otherwise is using double system sound and recording externally, but we generally don't recommend that for beginners. But those are ultimately the factors that we believe are important when it comes to a hybrid still and video camera. Granted, some of these factors will be more important to your work than others, so look out for the factors that you think are the most important to how you plan on shooting. But with those out of the way, let's discuss how the Fujifilm X-S10 performs on those measures and those standards. On the photography front, the X-S10 is incredibly capable. On screen right now, I will show you a small collection of images that I've taken with this camera, but do know the image quality is excellent and the camera is quite capable on this front. The camera does have a 26.1 megapixel X-Trans 4 CMOS sensor without an optical low pass filter, which helps increase fine detail and its resolving abilities. It also has 18 historic film simulations, which are all excellent, and 8 frames per second burst shooting, or 30 frames per second with the 1.25 times crop mode with a 17 shot buffer. It also has a 2.36 million dot electronic viewfinder and an AF joystick for quick AF point selection. So from a photography standpoint, this camera is excellent and very capable. On the video front, however, this camera does shoot 4K DCI at 30 frames per second and 1080p full HD video at 240 frames per second. And it also records to the MOV and MP4 formats at 200 megabits per second. It even has a couple of bonuses, such as Fujifilm's F-Log profile, in-body image stabilization, which you could feel if you had the camera, it bounces around, and full HD high-speed recording mode that in 1080p shoots 240 FPS videos in camera. Plus it also has zebras for highlight warning, 10-bit recording via HDMI, and a tally lamp, which is actually right here. Additionally, you get a microphone input right here and a headphone output via USB-C, which is quite a rare feature in this particular class. So overall, this camera looks to be quite capable on this front as well. However, one thing that may ultimately be a downside, depending on your use case, this camera does not seem to work with tethering. This will be something I'm going to talk heavily about in my 3-month follow-up review with the X-S10, but I'm going to note it here. It does not work with tethering. This camera is not supported by Capture One or Adobe Lightroom. The Fujifilm website claims that the X-Acquire tethering plugin does work with the X-S10, but I've tried that countless times to configure the device following their guide with no luck. From my perspective, I believe it's a subtle distinguishing element to help separate this camera from the higher end X-T4, which supports tethering. Same with the X-T2, which I have back there, works totally fine. As such, this camera is not ideal for studio workflows where tethering capture is a core element in that workflow. Otherwise, this is an amazingly capable device that offers plenty of value for money. Sure, it doesn't have some advanced video features from the XT lineup, such as dual card slots and full weather sealing, but even so, compared to rivals, it offers a complete package that's definitely one to consider. So let me give you my official and final verdict on the Fujifilm X-S10. I do believe the Fujifilm X-S10 is an excellent hybrid camera, and as a mid-range camera, it has plenty of advanced functionality, yet remains easy to use. As such, it's a good camera for beginners or enthusiasts, but considering the features here, it's also a solid option for seasoned photographers or videographers wanting a more lightweight and portable package that doesn't compromise on functionality. So yes, if you're looking for a capable mid-range hybrid camera, the Fujifilm X-S10 is surely one to consider. But there you have it, my friends. Those are my thoughts on whether the Fujifilm X-S10 is potentially the ultimate hybrid mid-range mirrorless camera. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, or feel like I've overlooked something over the course of this video, please let me know down below. Also, while you're down in the description box down below, we've launched a new brand called pxpresets.com. PX Presets is going to be your next one and only stop for Lightroom presets until we launch Photoshop and other platform presets. But here you can find both desktop and mobile presets to get you started in a variety of different mediums more powerfully and upgrade your imaging and take your images to the next level. That link to pxpresets.com will be in the description box down below. Please check that out if you're in the market for some exciting Lightroom presets. But until next time, my friends, I've been your host, Devaun Lennox. I will see you in the next video.